With Frank Napolitano and Paul Rushforth, here is Steve Gregory.
With a special day today in the neighborhood.
I like when they say with Paul Rushforth and Frank Napolitano, well, Frank's never looked so good, right? You know?
Or so smart.
Seriously.
Sheri Creese is here, El Presidente.
Thanks for the welcome, guys.
How long have you been president now? Long time, huh?
A few years. I've been with MBO, though, for 12.
12 years?
12 years.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
12 years of dealing with Frank.
I'm feeling dumber by the minute.
Yeah. I was going to say, we've had, 15, 16 years of having to deal with Frank?
Yeah, that's true, too.
Yeah.
Huh?
Oh, I've known him a lot longer, though.
I'm sorry.
Close to 30.
I'm sorry.
How often does he buy you breakfast?
No.
Never.
I know the feeling.
All right, all of a sudden now the temperatures have changed. Yep. Everything looks dull. Yeah, except the numbers aren't bad. Numbers are pretty much unchanged, right?
Yeah, but it's what we expected. You know, our number of sales, residential and condo, were up 2.3%, and our average sale price was up 2.3%. So the good news is if you look at year to date, our number of sales is down 12.4%, which you'd think that's a large number, but keep in mind we were down almost 40% at one time. So we've narrowed the gap, which is great. Our average sale price is down 6.5%, and it's at $659,000 and change. That's exactly where it was last month. So we haven't gone anywhere. I mentioned we're going to probably stay pretty flat for the rest of the year, and that's what we're seeing right now. So we went from, 662, 659, now 659.7. So the last 3 months we've been pretty consistent with our average sale price. We will end the year down for sure, and it will be the first year since, is it 94, 5? 96 was the last year that our average sale price was actually down, and it will be down, which tells you the economists over at some of these major banks who thought we were going to be up 2% and 4% on our average sale price were entirely wrong. And it all was from that first month of January where our average sale price went from $691 to $612. So that's really what's carried us, what's changed this year. And I think we're just going to remain pretty stagnant for the rest of the year, and probably end the year down somewhere in the 5 to 7% range, which is it's the largest we've ever dropped.
Wow.
But when you say that,
compared to the gains, though.
Yeah, when you say that, I mean, sure, we've dropped, but if I would have told you 3 years ago the average sale price would be $659, you would have thought I was crazy. So
now they're thinking that condo sales are going to do well for the next few months, right? Through to the end of the year?
Well, they could, right? They could, and mainly because condos are usually a little bit more inexpensive, right? And with the price of everything, with the rates the way they are, getting it.
I like the way he looks at Sheri with disdain in his eyes when he says rates.
Yeah, she's responsible. Sheri's responsible for where our rates are today. So I think with the rates, the market, how expensive things are. I mean, it makes sense to find a cheaper product right now, and condos are usually a little bit more affordable.
How much are you seeing first-time homebuyers go for condos and people downsizing now going into condos?
I think it's a mix. I mean, right now, I think condos are a big part of the market for sure, and getting it at a lower price point as well. Other things I'm seeing are some first-time home buyers who aren't necessarily going for that house with the, quartz countertops and ensuite with 2 sinks and that kind of stuff. I have great buyers this week who are first-time home buyers, really sweet, and they really wanted to get into a certain area of town, and they got into town. And you know what? It's original owner in Blackburn, lady who went into a home they're taking, and the house looks like it.
Yeah,
so
original owner from 70s, 80s.
Yeah, and they said that's okay, and we'll paint a few things, and maybe the quartz countertops and everything aren't the most important thing. So we're seeing more like that.
Well, people are having to settle for a lot of product right now. I mean, before you might have had some choice, but now it's like, if you just find something in your price range and it's not going to be perfect, and you're going to buy something like that. And
so then where do we stand on whether or not you should fix up the place before you sell it these days?
It all depends on what area you're in. So that's why I say before you put a penny into your house, get us through the door so we can tell you, because there's certain areas where I'd say just get it on the market. And then there's other areas that I'd say if your house doesn't look, top notch and tickety boo, then you're not getting sold. So it all really depends on the area. But there's certain things that you have to do. Now, most people are going to paint anyways once they take possession of your house. But saying that, if you have the dark colors and this and that, you should paint a nice neutral soft gray or something like that. And please get a professional. I've seen so many people that have painted their house, and I'm like, okay, it has to be repainted. Like, it just looks terrible. Light fixtures is another one. I'm dealing with a house right now that needs a coat of paint, ripping off some wallpaper, and changing the light fixtures, and it'll look absolutely amazing. But right now it looks a little bit dated because it's got the old, gold light fixtures. Yeah. It's got wallpaper. It's got dark colors, and it just shows like it doesn't show great. And if you had that nice neutral color and you had some modern light fixtures, you don't have to go spend a fortune. You can go to Home Depot and buy those little dome lights that are just perfect.
But what's more important, getting into the market with a home that you may have to update over the next year or two, or waiting until you can get into that home that's already done?
Well, I don't know if you can wait. I mean, we know we believe rates are going to come down.
Are they? Are they?
Well,
I'll let you know what I decide.
Yeah, but we believe they are. So at the end of 2024 is when that foreign buyer program where foreign buyers can't buy, when it expires. Now, whether they renew it or not, some are saying that they will not renew it. So if they don't renew it and we're allowed foreign buyers by the end of 2024, I know Frank has said it. Sheri will probably agree. He expects rates to be in the threes. So if that happens with the little inventory we have, we now allow foreign buyers. By the end of 2024, it might take off like crazy. We might have no product to sell in this city. So I'm not sure. It all depends on.
I can't imagine they won't renew that.
I can't imagine it either. I mean, you'll have so many foreign buyers who can.
It'll drive the prices up again, and we can't afford to have the prices.
No. So I'm assuming they're going to renew it, but it does expire at the end of 2024. So if they allow foreign buyers to jump into our market with the amount of inventory that we have and with the rates coming down at that point, could be a tsunami of price war here.
I think more economists now are kind of looking at early 2025 for that.
Yeah, or
where that's going. Yeah. So, but I mean, I really, when I'm talking to buyers, I really try not to forecast interest rates, even though I set them personally. But I really try, I talk to clients.
Tiff Crease.
And say, what's going to be going to frustrate you more? If you get into a mortgage now and 3 years from now, you're at, let's say, 580 and the prevailing rates are 4 or 380. Or are you okay to pay a higher rate now, and find out in 3 years that rates didn't drop as much as you wanted them to? What would you prefer?
But if they wait for that amount of period of time, is it your thought that you would even out over the 5 years?
Well, that's what I mean. If you do go with a 3-year rate, I mean, you have to, at this point, the differential is 50 or 60 basis points. So it needs to drop at least, double that to break even. So how much?
And when does it need to drop?
Well, that's what I mean. So in 3 years, is that going to? So I'm really much more leaning towards letting the customer make the decision as to what, rather than say, I think rates are going to do this or I think rates are going to do that. It's like, do you like this payment right now guaranteed for 5 years, or do you like this payment guaranteed for 3 years in hopes that in 3 years rates will be dramatically lower?
But like, let's be honest, rates have to come down. Like, they can't stay where they are, and they definitely can't raise them, but they can't stay where they are. It's there's too many people right now. I mean, we talked about this before getting on the show. We're dealing with a client right now who bought a new build 3, 4, 5 years ago. His mortgage is coming up for renewal, and he can't afford his house anymore, and he needs to sell by a certain date, and he's desperate to sell. And that's just one story. There's 4,000 agents in the city. How many stories do they have like that too? So there's probably a lot of people that when their mortgage is coming up, they realize their payments out of control, they can't afford it, and they're going to have to sell. And it's unfortunately, we're seeing people who are actually selling, who've been in home ownership for years and years and years, are now going into the rental game because they just can't.
And there's only going to be more trouble in the next year and a half if things don't change, right?
Oh yeah.
And you know what? Hopefully, we're going to see, the government take that into consideration. I'm sure no time soon, but our industry, of course, is lobbying for changes, and that continues. It's not going to be a quick change for anything, but
I would like to see, if you're changing your mortgage, that you don't have to requalify again. If you've had a mortgage for the past 5-10 years and you want to shop a new mortgage, you shouldn't have to requalify because that puts you at a tremendous disadvantage, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
I think one of the good things for mortgages is we have an election year coming up in 2025. So of course they're going to do anything they can to get elected. So we might see rates drop because of that, right?
Traditionally we have. So that's, traditionally.
So
I mean, next week we're going to see the US and our inflation numbers come out, and that'll be a big, and we've seen gas go down. The price of gas has gone down since the last inflation numbers go. So,
and the employment numbers just came out too.
Yeah, so that works the other way, right?
But it's not that much of a.
I think like the employment numbers in the U.S. You mean?
Oh,
No, from us.
I didn't see those.
Yeah.
So, but the
pretty flat. So.
That's what they said. They're flat. Yeah. So.
And the U.S. ones were up a lot. So it's it's that fine balance as to how they work things. Everything kind of works
They're
in
over
a different
7%
way.
now, for mortgages in the States.
Yeah, it's
with 30-year
30 years,
amortization,
yeah.
30-year terms, not amortization terms. Yeah. So that's why they're having such a struggle with people moving, because a lot of people have a decent rate locked in for so many years, and they're like, I'm not moving to have to port this and blend, and now I'm going to go from 2 to 6. Like
Exactly.
It's just crazy.
521-TALK, 521-8255. We'll be right back. I must say I'm very confused. First of all, Frank is not here, and now Scott Reid is calling. Isn't there a hockey game on somewhere?
Sean,
sorry.
There is. You must have got some inside scoop. I'm in London, Ontario today for a big hockey game tonight.
Oh, who's playing there tonight?
Well, it's not so much about the teams. Obviously, London's playing Guelph, but it's one of our fellow officials. I started in the league as a referee in 1999, and so did my fellow official today, Kevin Hastings, who's retiring after the game tonight. So 24 seasons for him, and I'm still trucking along and going to continue for another couple of years, I'm sure.
You're only 30, Sean.
You're a young buck.
Oh, I wish.
So which is your part-time job, Sean?
Yeah, I know. Well, it depends on who you ask, right?
Sean, are you reffing during the week too?
I do the odd game. The Ontario Hockey League is basically a weekend league, right? So there's the Friday night games, and then Saturday, Sundays, it's pretty heavy on those days. So
first of all, Sean sounds way too nice and happy to be a referee.
Yeah,
the refs I remember didn't like me very much.
No, the game has evolved. It's a much friendlier and kinder game now.
I still remember some of the things I used to say to refs, and today you'd be suspended for life. Like I used to.
Sure.
Oh, I used to get.
What, Paul?
Well, that's not to be said on air, but there's a lot of F things going on, and they used to take it too. Flurries, yes.
Yeah.
But they used to take it.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? I know that we used to give it back in those days too, right? So
yeah.
You don't do that anymore either.
Well, the one thing you do have control over is money these days.
Yeah. It's a busy time.
How do I make more? I'd like to make more.
Yeah, it's a busy time for us at the MIC. You know what? We're just going through our annual audit, and so we're working through our audits with our partners, and compounding rate of return for our investors right now is an 8% unaudited, but we're just going to finalize those numbers. So our investors have been relatively very happy, especially in this volatile market that we're seeing, and everybody just sort of I think Canadians as a whole are just sort of uneasy in what's going to happen, right? But we look at from our perspective, just continue for investors and happy with our returns and really just keep trucking along with consistent returns, which our investors obviously come to us because they want to take out that volatility in the marketplace.
You've had solid returns for years.
Yeah, we certainly have, and again, we went through our struggles last year, if you will, to get to that 8%, just because the way that interest rates increased so quickly, as we all know, and our mortgage portfolio isn't able to, as we call it, churn over in that same time period. So we had to work, to move our weighted average interest rate, which is roughly now just under 9% to our on our portfolio. But it took time to get to that. It was over 200 basis points that we saw from year to year. And as we say to our investors now, when rates start to come down, the ride's going to be a lot more fun for our investors because we'll benefit again when rates do go down from our investors, that we're still not going to be able to churn over our portfolio as quickly, and our benefits are to the investors are going to stay at elevated returns to them too. So on that way down.
So Sean, just for people who have never listened to the show, which I don't think there is any of those people, but
Just Sheri.
just Sheri. So for those people who have never heard you on the show, dumb it down for them. What do you do?
Yeah, so we run Mortgage Investment Corporation. So we pool our funds of our investors, and roughly it's about $70 million that we have out there, and we do private lending. So people that need to seek alternative mortgage solutions, and we're not a last resort lender by any means. Our portfolio is very strong. People come to us for because they situations, whatever it may be, but we stay away from a lot of poor credit and things like that, high LTVs. People come to us because, again, I say it's situation. Maybe they've need some short-term money. All of our mortgages are less than a year terms, or maximum of a year term, sorry. And for our investors, it's pooled capital. So we are protecting their investments in terms of it's not one-to-one investment. There's a little bit more risk when you do one-to-one mortgage. I have $100,000 and I'm going to put it on a second mortgage on a property. There's a lot of risk involved in that. We pool our funds so it minimizes the risk for the investors. But again, it's just providing short-term solutions to a good group of people or mortgage lenders or borrowers out there that just need private money for short term.
And you're taking on investors at any time, right?
Well, we do. We always have conversation with investors. We are limited to a 10-day window every month, so the 1st to the 10th of the month to bring on new investors, but it doesn't mean that we can't have conversations.
Now, can people tap into their RSPs and that kind of thing?
Yeah, we can use all registered money, non-registered money. We can any TFSAs, RESPs. It's a great way for RESPs as well. For just a good low return to save for your children's education.
And is there a minimum amount to invest?
Yeah, so we start at $10,000. And we certainly have to make sure that it's.
You know what? $10,000 is not bad for somebody that wants to get their toe wet.
Exactly, and I really think that is certainly we have a lot of people that they like the investment, and then a year later they come back to us and say, I'm going to give you a little more because I didn't have to worry about the volatility that I'm seeing in the marketplace, and we constantly have our investor base grow just with that, a little bit here and then a little bit more the next year as they get the comfort level with what we do on a day-to-day basis.
And how many years now?
Since 2014,
Wow.
So coming up on to 10 years. Yeah, so it's it has a good track record, and then obviously with the support that we get from not only just the Mortgage Brokers Ottawa groups, but also too from the files that we get outside of Mortgage Brokers Ottawa as well. Roughly, it's about 50% of the files that we see come from outside of MBO, which we continue to grow, and because there's certainly a need and a demand for people that need alternative lending. So again, from an investor side, it's a great opportunity to start, as you say, Steve, dipping your toes into to this opportunity.
Is most of the money loaned out locally?
You know what it is? We stay local in Ottawa for the most part. About 90% of our deals are in the eastern Ontario, and about 85% of those are in the Ottawa region, if you will. So, you know what? We look at that as from a risk perspective. Ourselves, Mike, our underwriting team. When you know the local market, the Ottawa market, it gives you that confidence when you're making decisions that you're making sound decisions on the marketplace.
Okay, final question, and I want an honest answer, Sean.
Okay.
It's going to be a funny Joe question. I can tell you that.
What is it really like to work with Mike Hapke?
Oh, geez. Well, he's not listening right now. I know.
Oh, let her fly then.
He is. Yeah. No, we have such a great group, and we're excited. We're excited for all those. Our team. We really worked hard as we all do in this business, and we're excited for the opportunities because we do realize, everybody wins when we're able to not only bring on new investors, but also be able to provide a mortgage to people. People are coming to us because they need to maybe fix up one small little thing that happened in their life.
Yeah.
So not only does the borrower win in that situation, our investor wins with the sound decisions that we make and the deals that we put on. So our team is really encouraged by that.
Next step for investors
really
if they want to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so it's 613-274-0055, and our website is advancedmortgageinvestmentcorporation.com. So we can always take calls.
MIC.com?
MIC.com, yeah.
Hey, Sean, just before we have to head to break here, a couple of years ago, you refed your 1,000th game. What are you at now?
I did. Well, last night we were looking. I'm at 1,056.
Wow.
So
that's impressive.
Yeah.
That's a lot of miles on that vehicle.
A lot of miles on those legs.
Sure.
Yeah. I can feel it today after my first game last night, first regular season game last night. So,
yeah, I can feel it too because I had to come up the stairs this morning. Thank you, Sean.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody.
See you later.
Thanksgiving. Bye for now.
521-TALK, 521-8255. We'll be right back. Welcome back with Sheri Creese in for Frank Napolitano. Paul Rushforth is here. To the phones we go and say hello to Connor, who's always got the easiest questions.
Yep.
My question is for Paul today. About 4 or 5 months ago, I listed my place for rent and instantly was bombarded with interest and 3 showings within the first day and everything. We decided not to rent it, and I just put it back up again, and it's been up for about 2 weeks, and it's been at the same price, very, very slow. And I'm just wondering, do you think that's because the time of the year, or has something changed in the rental market?
No, the rental market's still very hot. There's about 700 rental units on the market right now, which is high. But it's the time of year for sure, because it's like shooting fish in a barrel. You should be able to find tenants, no problem. As you know, because you've rented out places before, excuse me, it is super important to find the right tenant though, because in Ontario, the tenants have all the rights. So trying to get a tenant out if they're not a great tenant is next to impossible. So getting that perfect tenant, even if you had to keep your place vacant for a month, I would do that just to get that perfect tenant. But Connor, truthfully, I think that the rental market's still very hot, but it's that time of year. People may be slowly taking their eyes off the real estate prize. Christmas is coming, snow's coming, prepping, things like that. But I would keep it up. I just think it's a time of year. How long you been up?
About 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
For how much?
2,700.
Yeah, and you put it up for that last time and you got bombarded?
Yeah, at first I thought it was too high, but I got bombarded and I thought if I put it at the same price, it would be the same, but it's been much slower.
Where are you renting it out right now? You're just on Kijiji?
Facebook and Kijiji.
Yeah, Kijiji is a good one to go on. I would think it's a time of year because the rental market we're seeing a lot of places being rented, no problem. It could be the price. I mean, I know your place and I know your location. That it's you're in a good location. It could be the price. I mean, lower it by $100 and see what happens.
Well, the good thing about Facebook is you can creep their profile, which tells you a lot about a potential tenant.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Whereas with Kijiji, you don't know who it is.
Absolutely. And credit checks are worth everything. Someone with bruised credit, there's a reason their credit's bruised usually. So you got to worry about that. But yeah, finding that, I mean, I don't have to tell you, you rented many places, but it's finding that perfect tenant is worth its weight in gold.
Thanks, Connor.
Thanks, bud.
Now, listen, speaking of rentals, people are getting their notices now because you got to get 3 months' notice if you're going to increase the rent. And I know that there's rent control for any buildings pre-1988.
Yeah.
Does that work for individual properties too, or is that just buildings? Like, can you raise the rent whatever you want?
No. Well, hold on. When you have a tenant in there?
Yes.
Oh, no. When you have a tenant in there, you can only raise it by what the Landlord and Tenant Board Act puts out there as the new rate.
But that's only buildings pre-1988. Does that apply to single-family homes that are rented out as well?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's usually this year I think it's 2.5%.
I think it was 2.5% this year. Yeah. Every year it's a little bit different, but
any building after 1988 they can raise it whatever they want. Yes.
Building.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. And
some of those rents are going up 5% right now.
Well, you know what? In Ontario, it's very, very legislated, whereas in BC, in Alberta, the landlords have all the rights there, and they can basically do whatever they want. And listen, I'm not saying tenants shouldn't have the right or landlords shouldn't have the right. I think it should be. I think should be equal for everybody, right? Like right now here in Ontario, if you have someone that's not very nice to your place and doing bad, sorry, good luck trying to get them out, right? Good luck trying to get them out.
Months and months, right?
Yeah, and that's why finding, like I just said, finding that perfect tenant, and I don't care if you have to, do a DNA sample. Like you just really want to find. I mean, I know that's not allowed, but
I'm sure that's legal.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying.
You spit into the cup, please.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying. Like if they say I have references, perfect. Not references of their friends. The best reference is their last landlord.
In fact, that should really be the only.
That should really.
What are you allowed to say then in that case? Can you say?
Well, just I noticed that this tenant is vacating your property. Is there a reason?
No, but are you allowed as a landlord to say what happened with the previous?
Why not?
Yeah,
why not?
I know it's different for employment.
I would also, as a new landlord, and I talked to the old landlord, I'd like to know this kind of stuff. And if I was the older landlord, I'd want to tell that new landlord, look, you're getting in some trouble here. Like you got someone who's not going to pay rent. You have someone who's, and it just sucks. Like I walked into one of my units the other day and there's nothing really I can do about it, but I didn't know they have a dog. Apparently they have a dog, and not a small dog, a big dog. The hardwood floors, when I gave it to them, were a little bit scratched. I walked in the other day; they're completely scratched. Like I'm to the point where if they ever leave and I want to sell it, I got to replace the floors. It's dirty, dog hair everywhere. It's just, this is one of my places, and I just said to them, like, I can't kick them out, but I just said to them, I said, guys, listen, you want to be really, really nice tenants? I'm going to be a really, really nice landlord. But if you don't, this is my baby. Like I've paid big money for this property. If you want to do it like this is how I'm going to act too. So it sucks, but the tenants have all the rights. That's why I find a good one.
And you're a good one.
I'm a good landlord. Because listen, if I have a good tenant, and I've been very lucky that I've had some really, really great tenants, and I'm great to them. If they call me and they're like, this needs to be replaced, and it doesn't. It's kind of borderline doesn't. I will replace it. If they need something, I will give it to them. As long as they're good to me, I'm going to be good to them.
Are you seeing many investors coming in these days? Probably not, huh?
Not nearly as much. As Frank talks about, it's very difficult to cash flow on anything right now. So it depends on the reason. Sometimes if there's different reasons, sometimes people want to buy as an investment for their child or their, that kind of thing, but very, very few individual, more where I'm living in one side of a duplex or that kind of thing, or of a semi or that kind of thing, where they're living in it and renting it out another unit. But yeah, not as much at all.
We do see some people who are getting in their twilight years who aren't ready.
Stop looking at me.
Well, no, you're beyond your twilight years. No, but people who are in their twilight years who eventually condo living might be the way they want to go. And sometimes we're seeing people buy condo investments now to rent out for a few years because they're just not ready to get into that condo just yet. So we are still seeing that, but that's also something they're eventually going to live in.
What's your take on somebody downsizing in their twilight years?
Yes. Keeping
that property and renting it out?
Well,
because that would probably be mortgage free, I'm guessing.
But the problem with that is a lot of times when people are downsizing, it's a lot harder to rent out, a single family home or a bigger single family home than it is a small town or a condo. So a lot of times it's more of a hassle to rent out those bigger ones. And sometimes they want the money. When they're in their twilight years, they don't want their money wrapped into their house. They paid off their mortgage. They wouldn't mind having a little free money to do some traveling and enjoying a little bit of their life.
Speaking of money, you must be seeing a lot of people asking you how they can refinance their house and what help they can give you.
Well, we're doing it. So as Frank talks about, the refinance rates are kind of the highest rate category that we have. So we're trying to do creative things to get out of that highest rate category.
So what can you do with people that are looking at their amortization at like 40, 45 years these days?
So that one's a tough one. That one's really mostly like to keep them in the payment that they're in. That's a tough one. But we can do where some people, let's say, people maybe who aren't coming off one of those fixed payment, that's specific to fixed payment variable rate mortgages. Whereas where we have people who are coming off of a variable rate mortgage where the payment fluctuates or that kind of thing, and they're looking to have some cash flow to free up a little bit more cash flow, we're able to transfer them at the lower rates and increase the amortization. So doing that, we can keep them at the lower rates. And we have some lenders or one lender where we can also add a line of credit to that. So you're effectively refinancing without having that refinancing rate. So, we're trying to do everything we can for clients to have them have the lowest payment that they can.
And the objective is to keep them in the house in the short term until rates come back down to something a little more affordable?
I think every situation is different as to what people, some people now are, I think that kind of idea of people feeling like when I'm retiring, my mortgage has to be paid off. I don't think that everyone's kind of as stringent on that. And I think it's more noticeable now, but I think people are thinking, you know what, I'm retiring and I still have a small mortgage. That's okay. It's not a big deal. And I'll live here as long as I need to and then move to where I might want to. I have two friends, clients who are just doing what Paul was just talking about, where they're moving, they've always kind of wanted to move to the Westboro area or New Edinburgh or that kind of thing, but have never lived there themselves. So they've bought a house, keeping their existing house, see what, kids are moving into the new house, that kind of thing, into the new smaller condo downtown until they decide that they're going to move, and then maybe keep their house to make sure that when they test the waters themselves, that's really what they want, that they're ready to move to a condo from a single. So it's definitely on people's minds for sure.
I'd move to a condo right now if I could.
Well, you would miss all that work, Paul.
Oh, yes. What work?
All those phone calls.
Yeah.
Hi, please come and cut my grass. 521-TALK, 521-8255. We'll be right back. Welcome back. All right, are we into super slow time now for the next couple of months, Paul?
No, I wouldn't say we're super slow time, but, our listings are starting to pick up. Let me just put my trusty glasses on. Excuse me for a second.
Days on market aren't bad. We're, 3.2 months now as opposed to 2.8. So
yeah, so months of inventory, we're at 3.2, which some are calling now a balanced market, even though a balanced market starts at 4 months, but it's feeling like a balanced market. But, listings are slowly picking up, but well below where we should be. We're at 4,367 active listings, residential and condo, on the market. We got 684 rentals on the market. And in the last 7 days, we've listed 784 properties and only sold 306. So the listings are definitely outpacing the sales. But we still need more inventory on the market. Now, if you're a seller and you're not selling, you're probably thinking we don't need more inventory on the market. But the truth is, we don't have enough inventory on the market. So, the only thing that's saving this low inventory is there's a lot of people that aren't buying right now because of the rates. Yeah. Otherwise, if it was a normal,
is that because they're struggling?
It's because they're struggling, as Frank would say. But yeah, no, there's a lot of people that have taken themselves out of the market. And one of the hardest hit product right now is our entry level homes, like our townhomes and our smaller condos and our terrace homes and things like that. That's what's getting hit the worst right now, because there's a lot of first time home buyers that can't get into this market and can't buy that home.
I know where they can get a screaming deal though.
Where's that?
Embrun.
Yes. My builder out in Embrun. So I represent CH Clement Construction. We have townhomes in Rockland, which are in the low to mid fives, which are gorgeous, about 1,800 square feet with a finished basement, 3-bed, 3-bath. And then we also have the condos in Embrun. And the condos, we've just dropped all the prices, and they're anywhere from $375, $385, and then $395 for upper end units and that. But screaming deals, and we have so much attention on them right now. So go to my website, you'll see them. They're on St. Moritz out in Embrun. Beautiful condos, 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, all the amenities you need, backing onto a park in the Castor River. So
super high quality construction.
Oh, the construction's just out of this world. Like we talked about last week, it's all concrete, right? So you're talking about concrete walls, concrete ceilings. So you don't hear your neighbors, and anyone knows who lives in a condo. You hear your neighbors in just normal wood construction, but not with CH Clement. It's all concrete, well done, granite countertops, beautiful glassed-in porches, and we're just about.
I saw those pictures on your website this morning.
Yeah,
really nice.
Yeah, and we're actually doing some in Building 5 right now that are floor-to-ceiling opening glass. So it's almost like a Florida type of open glass, and they're going to be absolutely gorgeous. They're just being installed right now. But we have lots of units that we're looking to unload, so make sure.
And what do they start at again?
$375.
That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, $385 and $395 for upper end units. So it's. I mean, we were in the mid fours, and the job is to sell the product. We're getting into the winter months, so you're looking for a screaming deal. You could probably rent these out for. We just rented 2 out for somebody. I think it was $2,100 for the rent. So do the math on that. You're not really upside down when you think about getting $2,100 in rent. And you're paying in the the $375 range, so it's a very good investment.
Wow! And if they mention your name, same price.
If they mention my name, they'll probably get the same price. Because guess what? All the calls come to me and Angie. So.
All right. So I'm glad we have options when we're sort of upside down in mortgages. You're going to see more and more people coming to you over the next year, 2 years. Looking for help, right? Are we going to get a glut of people all of a sudden that are in super trouble?
I hope not. I mean, I think there's going to be...
Rates have to come down, right?
I think that's what everyone thinks. And in terms of, like I said, when we're doing some things like re-amortizing if we need to, not to the headline, we can't go to those headline amortizations that everybody's talking about, the negative amortizations and all that kind of stuff.
So
but
if you got a mortgage
options.
5 years ago and you're up for renewal... Mm-hmm. And you have, say, 20 years left on it. Can you go back to 25 again?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, you can, depending on the mortgage. So one way or another, we're going to try and help you out. If, like I said, some mortgages we can do at those lower rates. Not every mortgage qualifies in that category, but we certainly try whenever we can.
Do you see them ever bringing back amortizations of 30 years?
So, of course, if you have more than 20% down, you can do that at 30 years now. At the high ratio mortgages, certainly that's something we're pushing for, absolutely. That with the increase in the house prices and everything, that's something that needs to be looked at very seriously, and one of the things that we're really lobbying for.
Because at one time you could get 35, couldn't you?
Yep, you could.
You could get
to 40.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we had 0% down. I mean,
remember that?
Don't want to go back there for sure.
40-year mortgages with 0% down.
Yeah.
Some of them were cashbacks too, aren't they?
Yeah.
I remember those.
So,
but I don't see why not 35 years, even for a first-time home buyer. I mean, you're going to be in that house for a long time anyway.
And the equity that you build up over the years. I mean, certainly.
And with people refinancing now, it's going to end up being 30 years, 35 years anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah. But you know what?
Can you
there's
get
options.
on that for us?
After I fix the rates, I'll do that.
Yes, please fix the rates.
Steve, I just want to mention one thing. I believe we talked about it last week, and obviously Greg's here again this week, but we're probably, for anyone who's looking to list in, early spring, late fall, winter time, get us in the door for photography right now, for outdoor photography, because we've got about before all the leaves are down, probably a week to 2 weeks.
Depending on how much rain we get in the next few weeks, it'll strip those leaves off, but we can still get some nice shots and get you set up for a winter listing for sure.
Yeah, so very, very important. There's so many people that were like, yeah, no, we knew we were going to list with you. We were thinking about it for the last 6 months, but we're ready to list now. It's February, but your backyard is absolutely gorgeous. Why didn't you call us to get pictures while your backyard was so gorgeous?
If you have like an average townhome, not as important. Right?
No, not as important.
But if you got a home that shows beautifully outside,
something with some pretty outstanding landscaping. My favorite is then they'll send pictures in February with their kids all swimming in the pool, and we can't really use those online. MLS doesn't really let us do that. So.
Yeah,
can't you take the kids out? You can do amazing things. I know.
Depends how many are in the pool.
But he can. So if you let's say you're hearing me right now and you're like, oh, that's a great idea. We are going to list with Paul in the winter months. Our house still looks decent, but the pool's closed. Don't panic. Greg can open the pool for you. And I don't mean physically open the pool. I mean
that would be even better.
I mean photography open the pool. So for one of our clients actually was C.H. Clement. They didn't have any grass at the time, so he put all this grass in front of their product. It looked like brand new grass. It was perfect.
It's amazing how clean you can stay when you plant sod like that. Just lay sod and
he looks
exactly
amazing.
in his dress pants. He's fine.
So like I said, if you're thinking of listing anytime soon, or in the fall or the winter. Get us in the door and your inside does not have to be ready. Just your outside. We could do the outside shots right now and get them done for the listing. Dare
I ask, do you have any birthdays?
I do. We do.
I knew you'd come prepared.
Two of our amazing women leaders in our company. We have Kim Powell-Steele, so one of our top salespeople and leaders. She's, I believe, staying on in Italy right now. She's there with her business partner, her husband. So hopefully there's still some wine left in Italy after they get back.
Yeah.
See. And on October 13th, Kim was October 8th. October 13th is Rachel Claremont from our
Rachel,
Orleans office. So she's doing an awesome job this year, bucking the trend. She's up when the trend is down. So she's doing a great job with her clients, and she has a birthday this week.
Happy birthday!
Mm-hmm.
Is it your time yet? What time is it?
No.
Oh no, I got another 10 days.
You got time.
I'll do it next week.
You got lots.
I do want to fill the bucket of my amazing girlfriend Petra, who put on an amazing Thanksgiving spread last night for 19 people. I thought it was 19 people, so it was just incredible. So filling her bucket for the good meal.
How much work did you do?
I was, as she says, I'm a great sous chef. So I did some of the work. I did most of the work I did was cleaning up work.
Yes, good.
But still, as for cooking, it was all her.
Happy Thanksgiving, folks.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving.